We'd like to start off, though, talking about Richard Sherman because we've had a night to sleep on it. We've gotten most of the facts, and it's extremely sad and sobering, and I think it's appropriate to have one final discussion of our takeaways of this really sad moment. So what did you how do you feel after sleeping on this and digesting all the information?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of look at more broad picture about all of this. So, I think sometimes in our fandom, we tend to see these athletes or entertainers or anybody that's in famous type of realm. We tend to stop seeing them as humans and only see them for people and for our entertainment, right? So because a player doesn't play well, we'll trash that individual. We'll call there's people that'll call them names, just do the worst types of things for them. And I think like pulling yourself back from the situation, realizing athletes or anybody who's gotten to any level of success and fame are extremely good and have worked extremely hard to get to a certain place. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're perfect in any stretch of the imagination, or there aren't triggers that can make them have human moments. And I think the biggest thing that was really that I took from the whole situation is just like it's tough that Richard Sherman in his lowest moment unfortunately didn't get the privacy that he needs to see. And I look back in my own life. I'm not a perfect person. I've made plenty of mistakes growing up. I'm sure you have too, Grant. But I can't imagine having to go through my worst moments in front of the public eye and have everybody kind of critique. And maybe that's part of the game for them being able to make the type of money that they made. But I think, we as individuals just need to understand there's a human nature to all of this. And we need to, be supportive of people as humans. And just, really just pray for Richard Sherman and his family and just hope for the best, not only in this, because this won't be the last situation with an athlete that we, really respect or even, that know of. We just need to continue to just be supportive and keep things in perspective in the long run, not just with famous people, but even people in our own lives.
Yeah, I mean, it was really strange to cover the whole thing yesterday. We're talking Thursday. This happened Wednesday. It was really strange to cover the whole thing on Wednesday as it unfolded, and as like the information came out in spurts, and it was incomplete. So at first you're thinking like, man, this guy is out of control. Like, what did he do to his wife? And then you hear more and more and more, and you're like, man, this is the saddest story I've heard. It's first of all, it's so awful for his wife. I mean, the 911 call was aired. I mean, that's incredibly private. You could hear that the 911 operator was incredibly unsympathetic and rude.
Right.
That was heartbreaking. Just to know that family's never really going to be the same. Also, I mean, the information that he's been on a protective order for months. So this is something that I guess the state knew about and something that he's been dealing with for much longer than we understood. It's not just one bad day he's been on a protective order, meaning he was not allowed to purchase firearms because they felt he was a risk to himself and others. And the thing that's also so sad about this is how far it got, that not only did he want to take his own life, but that in the process, he endangered so many other people, his family, the construction workers on the freeway, the police officers that he, wanted to get into it with. Seemed like he was looking for ways to end it. So sad. But also, I guess the main point here is that it went from something that we commented on, like, content that's consumed on Twitter, not just by journalists, but by everyone, the whole world. Right. And it's almost like a car accident that everyone watches and comments on. And as it unfolded, it just became something I don't want to talk about. It's like, man, this is so sad. And it's not sports. It's someone's personal life. It's not just Richard Sherman. It's his wife. It's his kids. It's his in-laws. I mean, it's everyone. And it's like really like, does playing cornerback for an NFL team mean that you're that exposed? That when something bad happens, that it's just content for everyone to have to dig into, me included. It was I was thinking about it all night. It was very strange what happened yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, it also just obviously, you being big J journalism, as I like to call you, you have to being tied in to the media that you are in. But I think, sometimes in creating content, and I'm not saying this about you specifically, I'm just saying us as consumers of content, consumer of sport, so on and so forth, there's lessons that we could learn. And one of the lessons is, it wasn't but a few months ago, Grant, you and I, and, maybe the roundtable, we were talking about, should Richard Sherman be signed? We're talking about this being, we're talking about him in the element of him being a top corner for, 49ers maybe having a depleted cornerback room. However, in just, a snap of the fingers, now, we're worried about him being somebody, being a healthy.
We're glad he's alive.
Exactly.
Now we're glad he's alive. Yeah.
And this is somebody who has a lot of money, a lot of success, so on and so on. Not the same type of struggles that you and me may have, or people watching on an everyday, day-to-day life. So it's just pay attention, pay attention to the people around you, pay attention to your own health, pay attention. Don't get so caught up and lost in Twitter beefs and arguments and so on and so forth that you don't see what's important, on a day-to-day basis. And to me, that's kind of what I really, really took away from it, is just, I feel for the Sherman family. I really hope things get better. But also, took an inward and said, we just got to be paying attention to each other and our own lives and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well.
Yeah, I think the theme, what we're seeing here is that, athletes are really starting to, this whole mental health issue with athletes is coming to the forefront, for better or worse. I mean, not for better, but in the case of Richard Sherman, the way it came to the forefront is so sad. But him, the tennis player, it's like, we have to remember that, I mean, athletes have always been under a lot of pressure. But now it feels like sometimes the whole world can turn on you through social media and all these other things. And it's not just the most powerful journalists, it's everyone. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think that must be like the kind of thing that can drive you crazy in a day, no matter who you are or how much money you have or how successful you are. I mean, Richard Sherman is 2 months younger than me. It was very hard to think about, man, what if this happened to me? And I think the whole thing is this could happen to anyone.
Right.
What if this, right? I mean, it's such a nightmare on every, when it all sunk in, what happened to him and his family, is like, man, this is the ultimate nightmare. I hope I didn't make it worse. I was really reflecting. I went out with my wife after I was done. I streamed for like 6 hours yesterday. Just went out to the place down the street, and I was like, did I do right by Richard Sherman today?
It's tough. I mean, I think, one thing, and maybe we could get off of it after this, but, probably the biggest event that really affected me with one of the athletes was Kobe Bryant's passing. And, the news that was coming out every single few minutes, it felt like, initially they said his whole family was on the helicopter. And then they said Rick Fox was on the helicopter. And then the stories kept changing. And it was just like the roller coaster of emotions that sometimes the media tries to do to be the first and all that kind of stuff versus being accurate. I think one thing that I want to give you credit for is you weren't making many opinions. You weren't trying to sway. You were just kind of what was there, speaking about it, and then kind of like you were doing it not as somebody that was trying to get clickbait. At least that's my take.
I was trying to inform people. It was what everyone wanted to know, and I was like, here's the facts as we know them, and it updated every couple of hours. What East Bay Chris is saying is like, we thought we knew Richard Sherman. It's important to remember we don't know any athlete, but Richard Sherman has been so in front of the camera for so long. We feel like we knew him, and we have to remember that you don't know anyone really. You know like 7 people in the world, and everyone else that you come in contact with, you have no idea what they're going through. Richard Sherman included. It's good to remember that in all your interactions.
Even us, Grant, you're in a lot of our lives day after day with the content you put out, but we only know one aspect of you. We know what you think about the 49ers, so on and so forth. It's not like we know your personal life, your relationship with your wife, so on and so forth. So it's just like the same thing with these athletes. We only know one aspect of them, and we can't judge them for anything other than what we know about them as far as Richard Sherman as an athlete. Richard Sherman has done a lot of good to the community, and know what you know, and all of these stories that are coming in. At least for me, I'm not opinionated about it. I just really hope the best for him.
I hope this brings awareness to mental health in young people, not all people, and just show like this can get really, really bad for not just you, but a lot of people. And call in the description of this video right now, there are hotline numbers. Call, talk to someone. Don't let it get to this, because there are very good professionals who will listen and help you.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Okay, Mr. Roscoe says, Grant, on your show with your dad, you said, I'm glad this happened because my content was running low. We did that show at 2:00. I didn't realize that Richard Sherman had a mental health breakdown until 3:30 when I heard the 911 call. And when I said I was glad it happened, I meant like I'm not crushed that something bad happened, because I'm in the media and I have to cover it one way or another. And you need something to talk about. So at first it seemed like a boilerplate. This has happened before with athletes. He ruined his life. And then as the day went on, it turned into something much more sad than that. And no, I was not happy that I ended up covering that. I mean, I listened to the 911 call live on stream with Coach Noah Johnson. That was really hard to hear. So my feelings evolved as the day went on. Good question.
And to give Grant some bail, this is the first time it's ever happened with you having this type of platform. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you'll get better from it. You'll learn from it. And overall, I think you did a decent job with what the situation was.
Because when it started in the morning, it felt like, man, this is like a Bruce Miller story. This is like it's like, do I have sympathy for him? Not necessarily. I have sympathy for, the in-laws and it. But then as it went forward, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of sympathy for Richard Sherman. Now, he did put people's lives at risk, but this is a very, very heavy, complicated story that I didn't understand. I don't think any of us really fully understood until late in the afternoon. So I regret that I said that. And again, this is the thing, like the problem of talking about this as it's unfolding. It changes, and then you're like, man, 2 hours ago I said something that I regret because I didn't know enough. So yeah, that's why at the end of the day, I just kind of sat there and replayed it all night. It was hard. What did I say? Did I mess up?
And this is maybe too philosophical for a show like this, but I just think we need to, as a society, be open to giving people room to make errors and redeem themselves from those errors. Like too quick we are for somebody to make a mistake and just go at them for that mistake, judge them based off of that one mistake. I think we're humans. We're going to make mistakes, and it's based off of how we move with those mistakes, how we get better from those mistakes. And I have nothing but faith that, Grant, you're going to move forward and do much better. Hopefully it won't happen next time, but if there is a next time.
Yeah. Geez, I just had no idea it was going to end up being that. I didn't understand he threatened to kill himself. I didn't understand that he's been going through a mental health thing. I think we learned a lot yesterday, that this is much more prevalent than we understand. And when these things happen, you got to consider all of these variables.
Right. And we're going to learn more. I'm sure
Yep.
CTE is going to be discussed, so on and so forth. So it's not anything that's going away. Like I said, we just need to put things in perspective, pray for the Sherman family, and, make sure you learn what you can from this and take care of your own health as well as, those around you as well.
Okay. 49ers Ultimate Report says, I've met many people coming back from military, pro athlete, and just normal people. And all I will say, with people with mental illness with drugs sucks. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this was, I have no idea what happened, but it does seem like this has been an issue with Richard Sherman for the last few months. So hope he gets the help he needs. The coach says, Grant, I lashed out at you over this, meaning the Richard Sherman thing. I left a comment, but I want to take a moment to do it now. I was wrong. You do a great job. Respect. Fair enough. I'll take I haven't seen the comment you left me yesterday, but I probably deserved it. And yesterday was a very upsetting, emotional day. That's why I want to talk about it today, because I feel like we all slept on it. And I think what we said today would probably be, a good way to end it, at least. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but it was so upsetting. My wife was upset. My wife is a marriage and family therapist. She works with people who have these issues on a day-to-day basis. And it was very triggering for her. I think it was very triggering for most people. So I understand I probably trigger people with some of the things I said earlier in the day. I apologize. I appreciate you coming back, man. Thank you.